The 5-Minute Leadership Podcast exists to help you solve your leadership shortages. Today we're going to talk about the importance of leaders continuing to grow no matter how long we've been in leadership positions and no matter how long we have been carrying leadership responsibility, we have to keep growing. Our guest today is Pastor Lucho Azañero of Cultura de Gracia Church in Lima, Peru. Tell us about the name of your church.
Grace is something that just not carry to the door, but the whole journey in the narrow path. So it's a culture, it's a way of life. That's why we call it culture of grace.
Oh yes, I love that. Grace is not just a doctrine, it's not just a religious word, but it's a whole culture that permeates how we think, how we act, how we relate. Culture really goes way beyond just the definition of a word. I think about Titus, where he says in Titus 2 that it is the grace of God that teaches us to say no to sin and unrighteousness. And the grace of God teaches us how to, not only teaches us, but empowers us to walk right before God. All right, we're talking about today leadership growth. I know you just finished Leadership 215, our global program, and you did it in your second language, English, so I'm sure that took a lot more effort. Lucho, you've been in ministry for almost 2 decades.
Yes.
And here you are enrolling in a leadership course.
Right.
That's a global course. Tell me what you do as a leader to continue to learn and to continue to upgrade your theological understanding, your ministry skills. You talk about preaching, making disciples, evangelism. What do you do? What do you do, and what would you say for leaders who need to continue to upgrade and grow?
Well, first of all, is understand that we leaders are learners. We have to keep learning. We have to keep growing, and we have to take everything that comes to our hands. I watch podcasts. I listen in. I watch some videos. I read everything that goes to my hands. I encourage the people that, use anything that they have. And today is easy because we have a lot of resources out there. And if they are allowed to take some formal training, well, do it, Sometimes it costs money, but it's an investment for the future.
Leaders are learners. That's a great phrase that I hope every leader takes to heart, that we are lifelong learners. So when you go back and you finish this course that you've been taking, what do you do to help the leaders looking to you? How do you help those leaders continue to be learners? And how do you put them in the right place to maximize the gifts and calling on their lives?
Example is very important. So now they see that it is possible. Recently, we launched a program, Leadership 215, in our country, in my church.
In Spanish?
In Spanish, yes. We are working to translate the whole thing, so they are already take it. The most important thing to me was giving some environment to apply the things that they are learning. So giving some opportunities in ministry to use what they learn. For example, we have some course about Holy Spirit empowerment. I'm challenge them to use it, to preach for people, to pray for healing and that kind of stuff.
So when you say it's obvious, when you talk about leaders or learners, it's not just learning facts in your head.
Oh, yes.
But it's doing. And I think that's an important part. Often in the West, we miss about learning. We think that it's finishing a course or gaining knowledge, but real learning is the head, then it gets in the heart,
right,
and then we go out and do something about, but it doesn't end there. There's also the thing of teaching others. And think about Ezra, who studied so that he could know and increase his knowledge, but he also taught others. And that's certainly our heart for when we're trying to solve leadership shortages. A classroom setting is important, but it can't end there. It has to be a classroom, and then it goes outside of that class, outside of the church. And so, Pastor Lucho, thank you for being here, and thank you for all that you do to preach the gospel and make disciples in Peru.
Thank you so much.
And I hope that every leader will continue to learn in our heads, in our hearts, and in our actions. I trust that we'll be lifelong learners. It's a privilege to have my friend, Pastor Luis Lucho Azañero. It's a Today is okay. It's a pleasure to have my friend, Pastor Luis Lucho Azañero. Say it again.
Azañero.
Azañero. It's a privilege.